It's Thursday, February 4th, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. A 62-year-old Barbadian man is the latest person to lose the battle against COVID-19. His death brings to 15 the number of COVID-19 related deaths recorded in Barbados so far. A statement from the COVID-19 Communications Unit said the man who died yesterday was a patient at the St. Lucie-based Harrison Point facility for the last 9 days. He is the 8th COVID-19 related death for the year. More people have died from the viral illness in the first 5 weeks of this year than in all of 2020. Commenting on his death, Dr. Corey Ford, who is an infectious diseases specialist and the head of isolation facilities, appealed to Barbadians to wear masks and to look out for neighbors, the elderly, as well as those needing help, and get them to medical care. Dr. Ford also appealed to the public to cooperate with teams attached to the community-based Operation Seek and Save initiative, which got underway yesterday, and to get tested if requested. In other news, the next 2 weeks will be very tough for PSB workers. That's according to Chairman of the Alliance Owners of Public Transport, Roy Raphael, who says commuters can expect at least a 20% reduction in the number of privately owned public service vehicles on the road over the next few days. Raphael tells Barbados Today following the announcement on the national lockdown, which went into effect yesterday, several PSV owners indicated that it would not make sense for them to work given the capacity at which they now had to operate.
I will say that the next 2 weeks is going to be a very tough time for us on the road because with the capacity being reduced at 60%, a lot of our owners indicated that they will not be on the road because of the last shutdown that we had back in April. It did not make no sense running up and down with just 4 or 5 persons. And that is why we asked the government for the pop-up or the relief package that will assist us going forward. Right? Now, obviously, Transport Board can run the route at any cost because they have electric buses that don't have to pay fuel, and they can run any route and assist. But the PSV is even running at 8 persons. The capacity from 14 to 8 persons, generally it will create some problems for us, but we have a responsibility to the general public, so we are going to encourage our members as much as possible, right, to get out there.
Minimart Sands village shops will be providing much needed items to thousands of residents, particularly in rural parishes across the country. Along with the country's main supermarkets, the government's COVID-19 directive allows 33 of these establishments to operate across 10 parishes between the February 3rd to 17th lockdown. Some Minimart Sands village shops are already reporting steady sales, and unlike the days leading up to the new measures, customers are heeding warnings against liming in the vicinity of these establishments.
There's no rush here. It's pretty much the same. I don't be here at this time usually in the morning, but my manager Alicia, she just said that for the first part of the morning it was quite normal. We still have quite a bit of people coming and wanting to play lottery, which is a no-no. They're not freaking out. They don't want to fight. They're just accepting when you say that, you can't do lottery. So we're open for top-ups or anything like that. You can get your phones topped up, but definitely no lottery at all.
I mean, is this traditionally an establishment where people would line outside to, have a beverage?
Definitely. And if you look on the other side, you'll see that there's a gazebo on the other side. But you'll also see that the gate to that gazebo is also locked off because no one is allowed to line here.
As the first day as the shutdown, the things are going pretty okay. There is nobody on the block, which is very good. The protocols are being carried out, and the sales are moving, picking up. So everything seems to be going right okay for right now.
Our location told me that we should be one of the shops to open. So I was not at all surprised when they said 2 guys would be involved in selling as usual, in selling. Before the announcement, we would get a few fellows on the outside giving a bit of trouble, like want to congregate. But once the Prime Minister came on and everybody kind of stepped back a little bit, and over the last few days, we have not been getting the problem of congregation.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from our Caribbean neighbors, 12 Guyanese who were on board 2 fishing vessels detained by the Venezuelan Navy some 2 weeks ago have been released. Guyana's Foreign Affairs Minister Utord confirmed that the men were freed on Tuesday night and began their journey back home on Wednesday. Gordon Mosley of News Source Guyana tells us more.
They are currently on their way to Guyana and are expected to arrive late Thursday or early Friday morning. In a statement released by the Department of Public Information, Foreign Affairs Minister Hugh Todd welcomed the release of the fishermen and the stage it could set for ongoing relations between Guyana and Venezuela.
I think the early release, if I can use that term, of the vessels provides a political space for dialogue in terms of interstate relations. And I think that it's a good show from the Maduro administration, and we must commend them. At the same time, we must commend His Excellency President Ali for his leadership and direction in this regard.
The release of the fishermen might have eased the ongoing tension between Georgetown and Caracas over Venezuela's latest decree claiming Guyana's maritime space and the arrest of the fishermen. The Venezuelan government's decision to release the Guyanese fishermen came as international pressure was mounting on Venezuela on the issue. The Organization of American States, CARICOM, and several international governments made clear their support of Guyana and demanded the release of the fishermen.
And finally, on the international front, England's chief medical officer believes the UK is past the peak of the second wave of the coronavirus pandemic, but warns that infection rates are still high. During a briefing at Downing Street, Professor Chris Whitty also made it clear that while the number of cases, deaths and those being hospitalized are down, that did not mean that there would not be another peak.
Yes, I think that most of my colleagues think we are past the peak. Now, that doesn't mean you can never have another peak, but at this point in time, provided people continue to follow the guidelines, we're on the downward slope of cases of hospitalisations and of deaths in all 4 of the nations of the United Kingdom. So I think we do think at this point, this peak at least, we are past.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.